In lesson 26, we would study about energy. What is energy? What are the main sources of energy? What are the types of energy? What is heat capacity and specific heat? Energy. Energy represents the capacity to do work. The ability to do any sort of work is energy. Energy is conserved and conveyance to and from the various modalities depend upon the system. We have many kinds of energy in our surrounding, like you all must be aware of light energy, heat energy, chemical energy, kinetic energy, electrical energy. It's very common observation of all of us. If you take an example of the rolling rock from the mountain or anywhere, or a rolling ball, it has a kinetic energy. The rock that could roll has potential energy as well. If it is placed at some height, then it means it has some potential energy. The light bulb in your rooms releases light and heat energy. Any person who eats and take metabolic energy. There are two main types of energy, renewable and non-renewable sources of energy. Now, we would study what are the main differences between these two. Renewable energy, the resources that can be renewed or replaced are called renewable sources of energy. These resources do not cause any pollution to the environment usually, and they are inexhaustible. Renewable resources are not affected by the human activities like air, water and solar energy. डेली आप सन से एनर्जी लेते हैं, उसके बाद अगले दिन दोबारा सन निकलता है, आप दोबारा हीट भी लेते हैं, उससे लाइट भी लेते हैं, रीन्यूएबल है, खुद से जनरेट हो रही है वो, और ह्यूमन एक्टिविटीज़ का कोई इफेक्ट नहीं है उसके ऊपर. इसके बाद नॉन रीन्यूएबल एनर्जी सोर्सेज. The resources that cannot be renewed once they are consumed are called non-renewable sources of energy. These resources cause pollution to the environment usually. Non-renewable resources are exhaustible and they can be affected by the human activities like mineral, oil and coal. एक जगह से अगर आप ऑयल निकाल लेते हैं और जितनी अमाउंट में वो एक सिग्निफिकेंट अमाउंट में वहाँ पे प्रेजेंट होता है, बट उसकी एक लिमिट होती है. उसके बाद आप वहाँ से ऑयल नहीं निकाल सकते, वहाँ से वो एंड हो जाएगा, आपको किसी और जगह से माइनिंग करके ऑयल निकालना पड़ता है. इस सेम इज़ द केस विद मिनरल्स एंड कोल एंड अदर सोर्सेज. Natural resources are one of the biggest source of energy. Natural resources around us provide a variety of sources of energy around us. During the Stone Age, it was wood. Wood से हम पहले ज़माने में energy लेते थे. When it came to the Iron Age, we had coal. But now, in the modern age, we have petroleum and natural gas. So how do we choose sources of energy? Good sources of energy should have the following qualities: optimum heat production per unit of volume, easy to transport, it should be least polluting, and it should be economical. ये सारी क्वालिटीज़ होंगी तो हम उसको गुड सोर्स ऑफ एनर्जी कह सकेंगे और उसको फर्दर यूज़ भी कर सकेंगे. अगर इनमें से कोई एक भी क्वालिटी नहीं होगी तो इसका मतलब ये है कि या तो वो एनवायरनमेंट को बहुत ज़्यादा पोल्यूट कर रहा होगा, उसके बहुत ज़्यादा हेल्थ कंसर्न्स होंगे, इकोनॉमिकल नहीं होगा. तो अगर वो बहुत अच्छा सोर्स ऑफ एनर्जी है भी, बट वी डोंट हैव एनफ money to use it as a source of energy. It should be easily transportable from one place to another. There are two types of sources of energy classified by their popularity and use: conventional sources of energy and non-conventional sources of energy. The sources which have been in use for a long time are known as conventional resources. They are usually exhaustible. These resources cause pollution as they emit smoke and ash, like coal है, natural gas है, petroleum है, water power से आपके जो energy है. Because these resources are very expensive to be maintained, stored and transmitted. Then we have non-conventional resources. These resources are in the process of development over the past few years and they are referred as inexhaustible. Usually they are pollution free, and these resources are less expensive due to local use, and they can be easily maintained. They include solar, बायोमास, विंड, बायोगैस एंड टाइडल जियोथर्मल. अगर आप अपने इर्द गिर्द देखें तो अब इलेक्ट्रिसिटी के बाद एक नया एरा आ रहा है सोलर एनर्जी का या बायोमास एनर्जी का, जिसमें हम कहते हैं कि हम अपना ही जो प्रोड्यूस होने वाला वेस्टेज है उससे एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस कर सकें, बायोगैस प्रोड्यूस कर सकें, वेव्स से हम टाइडल एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस कर सकें, क्योंकि ये सारे नॉन कन्वेंशनल रिसोर्सेज हैं जिनसे पोल्यूशन पैदा होने के चांसेस बहुत कम हैं, ये लेस एक्सपेंसिव हैं, हमारे लिए इकोनॉमिकल हैं. ये इसलिए ज़रूरी हैं ताकि डेवलपमेंट हो सके कंट्री की. और अगर आप देखें तो बहुत सारे मॉडर्न जो कंट्रीज़ हैं, डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज़ हैं, दे आर यूजिंग these non-conventional resources, but we still are dependent on the conventional resources, which are not only dangerous and they are exhaustible and they are causing many health concerns. Now, what is work? Energy used to cause an object that has mass to move. Energy used to move an object over some distance is called work. It is represented by W is equal to Fd, and W is represented the work, F stands for force, and D distance over which the force is exerted. And the units of work has the same units of energy that are joule. Heat. Heat is basically the transfer of energy from a higher temperature object to a lower temperature object. It's the energy that is used to cause the temperature of an object to rise. That quantity flowing between the system and the surroundings that can be used to change the temperature of the system or the surrounding is known as heat. Usually energy is transferred as heat, and heat basically flows from warm object to the cool objects. Heat is thermal energy transferred from a hotter system to a cooler system, as we have already studied it. Historically, it is measured in calories, and 1 calories is equal to heat needed to raise 1 degree centigrade of 1 gram of water. Like if the temperature is being raised from 14.5 degree centigrade to 15.5 degree centigrade, that would be equal to 1 calorie. But the modern unit of heat and work is the joule, and 1 calories is equal to 4.184 joule. This is the relationship between a calorie and a joule. Now we have two main types of energy: kinetic energy and potential energy. The energy that a system possesses as a result of its motion relative to some reference frame is known as kinetic energy. When all parts of a system move with the same velocity, the kinetic energy is expressed as K is equal to half mv squared. This is the formula, where v is representing the velocity of the system in meter per second. If we look into the potential energy, the energy that a system possesses as a result of its elevation in a gravitational field, it's represented by potential energy is equal to mgh, where g is the gravitational acceleration and h is the elevation of the center of gravity of a system relative to some arbitrarily selected reference plane. Here you can see that due to motion, this is kinetic energy, and due to height or elevation, this is potential energy. The microscopic forms of energy are those related to the molecular structure of a system and the degree of molecular activity, and they are independent of outside reference frames. Usually, the sum of all the microscopic forms of energy is called internal energy of a system and is represented by U. So, the total energy of a system consists of kinetic, potential, and internal energies, and we can represent is as that the overall energy is equal to internal energy plus kinetic energy plus potential energy. The SI unit of energy is the joule, and 1 joule is equal to 1 kilogram meter square per second square. And the older non-SI unit is still in widespread use, that is calorie. We have already studied the relation between the calorie and the joules. When heat is absorbed by the system from the surrounding, the process is called endothermic. When heat is released by the system to the surrounding, the process is called exothermic. These are two types of reaction basically. Now, exo means out and thermic means heat. When heat goes out, that is exothermic reaction. And endo means in, and thermic means heat. When heat is absorbed by the system, that is endothermic reaction. Calorimetry. Calor means heat, and metry means measure. A calorimeter is a device for measuring the heat transfer. Now, what is heat capacity and specific heat? These are basically small terms which you must know to study the thermodynamics in detail. The amount of heat energy required to raise the temperature of an object by 1 Kelvin or 1 degree centigrade is its heat capacity. And we define specific heat capacity as the amount of energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of a specific substance by 1 Kelvin. Thank you.